Hey there, thanks so much for joining. Today we are going to be doing a very quick, probably about 10 to 15 minute restorative practice. If you have never practiced restorative, you're in for quite the treat. If you have practiced restorative, you know that it requires like all the props, and we basically just set ourselves up in a little nest to take a nap. So that being said, I'm going to walk you through what to do if you don't have all the regular props. If you have a bolster, you're going to want that. A couple of blankets, and then these are just like on my couch. A couple of pillows, maybe, not necessarily required. I just like to place my hands on them so that they're not on the cold ground. If you don't have a bolster, you can make do with a pillow. Just make sure it's not too squishy, and a decent size as well. So maybe like a king size pillow with a little bit of give. If you don't have that, totally cool. What you can do is you can take a blanket or like a big beach towel and just fold it in half lengthwise, spread it out, and then put a yoga mat on top of it and roll it up, and it would give you a decent size bolster that you can lie on top of. So if you need to push pause and go and grab those things, go for it. You may want a couple blocks as well. And of course, if you don't have blocks, you can just use like big books. But to get started, we're gonna set up for the first pose before we get started. So you're gonna lay your bolster or bolster improv lengthwise on the mat, and then a blanket making like a little T so that you can support your head. And of course, if you know that your neck doesn't like to fall back, you can always like double up the blanket, change the fold so that you're comfortable. So before we get started, let's go ahead and just take 2 to 3 breath cycles to get settled. So find a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to look any certain way. Maybe you're on a block, maybe you're sitting on your knees, maybe you're sitting cross-legged. No requirement on what it looks like. And then actually take your hands to the ground in front of you. And then soften in, maybe close the eyes. And take a nice deep inhale. And a full exhale. Maybe walking the sitting bones back a little bit. And then go ahead and draw the torso up more vertical. Take the shoulders, roll them up, roll them back, roll them down. And if your hands are way out at your knees, like mine, go ahead and draw them back, more mid-thigh, or even like you're holding a bowl in your lap, bringing the hands together. And we'll take a nice deep inhale, if possible, through the nose. And out of the mouth. Let it go. One more time, inhale. Out of the mouth. And then we'll get set up for our first pose, which is just going to be lying back. So you're going to want to bring your bum up to the back of your bolster. And then if you're like me, I like the feeling of having a little bit of weight on me. So I always have a blanket or a towel nearby so that I can fold it over myself. And so sitting against the bolster, from here, you just let your torso fall back. And I already know I have to adjust my blanket so that it's just under my skull. And then I like to bring the pillows in and rest my arms there, but find whatever's comfortable for your arms and for your hands. And if it feels okay, go ahead and close the eyes. Take a nice big inhale, maybe do that shoulder roll again, shoulders up towards the ears, and then let them just melt over the bolster. Check in with your jaw. If you're clenching your teeth, allow the lower jaw to come away, and maybe just the lips are touching. And as you inhale, can you feel the movement of the breath on the back side of the body, pressing into the bolster? And as you exhale, can you allow the shoulder blades to just melt? And now that we've been here for a couple of moments, is there anything you need to do to adjust to make yourself more comfortable? You may have to remind yourself to elongate the neck, maybe slightly tucking the chin under, and then soften into the pose. Remaining here at rest, bring the awareness back into your little yoga bubble, back into your space, back into your body. Start to add a little bit of movement. Maybe that's through the ankles, through the wrist. And we'll slowly exit out of here. So go ahead and bend the knees. And I prefer to just roll off to one side, off my bolster, coming into a fetal position, maybe using the bottom arm to support the head. And then taking the top hand into the ground, and go ahead and press yourself up to seated. Just come back to a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to look any certain way. And before we move on to the next one, we're just going to allow the head to kind of roll. So let the ear drop to the shoulder, any ear, any shoulder. And then roll the chin to the center. Roll it over to the other side. And if that feels okay for you, you can continue that little half roll. If you feel like you need to hold on to a space, maybe you need to just hold in one position, you do that. One more full breath cycle. And then the head back to neutral. So we'll keep the bolster and the blanket kind of set up the same. And you will need another blanket here. Not necessarily, but I'll show you what to do to make this a little bit more comfortable. This is also a good place if you had two blocks to grab onto those. So if you have your blanket folded in half, and then you're just gonna roll it up. And then once again, taking your butt back to the bolster. And from here, pull the knees in, take the feet together. Take the blanket, place it on top of the feet, wrap it around the legs till it comes in contact with your butt. And then just let the legs fall to the either side of the room. And my bolster started pushing back, so I have to pull it back in. And then I actually like to hold on to the bolster as I go back so it doesn't move. And when I get here, normally I need a little extra help. So I take the blocks and I place them under my thighs. And that gives me more support. Remembering that the restorative isn't so much about the active stretch, it's more about just relaxing in. So as opposed to our more active yoga classes, get out of the idea that you should be in this great stretch right now. And if you need to adjust a blanket under your head, maybe increase the height, maybe decrease the height, do that. And then back to the breath. Sometimes for me it feels nice to bring my hands to my abdomen and I just rest them right over my belly button. And if you don't like that, don't do it. And whether your hands are on the mat or they're on your abdomen, can you start to draw the awareness to the movement of your stomach that coincides with your breath? With every exhale, can you allow the torso to melt over the bolster? Can you soften through your shoulder blades? Imagine the front of the chest becoming wider and more malleable. And wherever your thighs are making contact, whether that's with the blanket or the blocks, can you allow them to become a little bit heavier? Is there anything you need to do right now to make yourself more comfortable? Is there any tension that you might be holding on to that you could relax? Remain here and start to draw the awareness back into your body. At the end of your exhale, We'll slowly start to bring the legs together. You may want to use the assistance of your hands on the outer thighs. Go ahead and bring them back in. Maybe pause here, take a breath. And then, if you can, just walk your hands to the backs of your thighs and start to bring yourself up. If you need the assistance of the ground, that's perfectly okay. And from here, just give yourself a nice big hug. And if your forehead and your knees don't touch, you can stack one arm on top of the other and rest your forehead on the arms. And then when you're ready, find your way back into a comfortable seat. I'm going to sit on a block. Doesn't have to look any certain way, just a place that you're comfortable. And once again, take your hands down to the ground and allow the back to just kind of round and the head to hang, pressing into the earth. And then walk your torso back up. If your arms are reaching way far forward, draw them back so that the arm bones can hang heavy. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw. Nice deep inhale through the nose. And a slow exhale out of the nose. Take your hands to the heart space. And when you're ready, go ahead and bring the eye gaze up, the eyes open. I hope that you feel restored and relaxed. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'd love if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you.